Very good afternoon. You're watching Breaking on CNN News 18 with me, Akanksha Swaroop. And the top focus this hour is the Varanasi Gyanvapi Mosque story. It's a big win for the Hindu side. The Varanasi District Court has today allowed the Hindu side to offer prayers in the southern cellar of the Gyanvapi Mosque. The court has directed the puja will be performed by the Hindu side, and a pujari will also be nominated by Sri Kashi Vishwanath Temple Trust. The Hindu side, terming this verdict as historic, has now said that this is a turning point in the case and the puja was stopped without proper legal prayer. Meanwhile, the Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Committee has said that it will challenge the district court's order in the Allahabad High Court. Remember, the Vyas family has been performing the puja in the basement till the year 1993. However, following the state government's order, the worshipping was stopped earlier. And with that, let's also bring you the reactions that have come in.
Court of Varanasi, wherein we had asked that in November 1993, in the Vyas Parivar Tehkhana, there was daily puja and archana which was going on. A state government misusing its powers without any written orders stopped that puja in November 1993. And today that illegal act of a state government has been rectified by the Honorable Court. The Honorable District Court of Varanasi has directed the District Magistrate Varanasi to start puja and daily puja within 7 days by making appropriate arrangements with the iron fencing. So I see this order on the similar footing which was passed by Justice K.M. Pandey on 1st February 1986 in Ram Mandir case, and it will be the first time in 30 years that we are going to enter the so-called disputed premises and start puja path.
अंजुमन इंतजामिया मसाजिद उस ऑर्डर के खिलाफ ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट जाएगी फॉर अर्लीस्ट।
क्या है क्या ऑर्डर?
उन्होंने ऑर्डर ये किया है कि उनका कहना है कि जो वापस विवादित संपत्ति है जो मस्जिद का के नीचे दक्षिणी तहखाना है उसके अंदर जो उनका कहना है कि जो मूर्तियां हैं उसमें उसकी पूजा पाठ के लिए डीएम साहब जो तो कोई इंतजाम कराएं, जबकि उसके अंदर कोई मूर्ति नहीं है। और जो रिपोर्ट अभी आई एसआई की उसमें भी कहीं नहीं लिखा हुआ है कि दक्षिणी तहखाने में कोई मूर्ति पाई गई है।
किस तरह की आपत्ति आप लोग करेंगे?
अब हमारे उस ऑर्डर के खिलाफ उच्च न्यायालय जाएंगे, हाईकोर्ट।
जी 1993 से ये पूजा बंद कर दी गई थी और कोई आधार नहीं ऐसा था कि इसको बंद कराया जाए। जबरिया एक बैरिकेड करके वहाँ पे सोमनाथ व्यास जी को हटा दिया गया था और उसमें उनके तहखाने में 1993 से ही पूजा बंद थी। 25 सितंबर को इस संदर्भ में उनके नाती द्वारा याचिका डाल के यह निवेदन किया गया था कि पूजा पाठ पुनः आरंभ किया जाए। तो आज जनपद न्यायाधीश वाराणसी ने इसमें आदेश देते हुए निर्धारित कर दिया कि इसका नियमित पूजा होगी और इसको काशी विश्वनाथ ट्रस्ट है जो कि नियमित विश्वनाथ मंदिर की पूजा कराता है, वही यहाँ पे भी पूजा कराएगा। तो ये आज हम लोगों के लिए बड़े हर्ष का विषय है। निसंदेह अब तो मैं मानूंगा कि यह कहीं न कहीं जो विपक्षी है उनका मॉरल डाउन हो रहा है, लेकिन ये पहला पड़ाव है। वह स्वाभाविक रूप से इस मामले को चुनौती देंगे हाई कोर्ट में। तो मैं अपेक्षा करता हूं कि ऐसा यदि होता है तो उनका भी वहां पे जवाब देने के लिए समुचित व्यवस्था हमारी तरफ से की गई है।
What the Hindu advocate had to say. In fact, for more details, let's quickly go across to Ananya Bhattagar, who's been tracking the details for us. Ananya, is this the beginning of more to happen? Because remember, last year, the observation made by the Allahabad High Court was that just because you can pray inside the mosque does not challenge or change the religious nature of the place. Is that now going to become the crucial bone of contention?
Well, definitely, Akansha, it will become a bone of contention, and a very, very categorical and a very important order is now coming from, in fact, the Varanasi District Court, wherein, this particular pujan will now be allowed by the Varanasi District Court has allowed it. In fact, the Kashi Vishwanath Trust has been entrusted to, depute a pujari to actually carry out these prayers, to carry out these pujas that are to be done there. And in fact, the ASI report has, Akansha, played a golden book for the Hindu side, because this is the basis on which the court has actually given out its order, though the Muslim side claims that, there is no kind of idols that were recovered. However, the ASI report says, contrary to it, the ASI report says that there are idols, there were idols that were recovered, and it was the Vyas ji's Tehkhana is what, in fact, the ASI report goes on to say. So definitely, keeping all that in mind, the court today gave out an order very, very clearly saying that, this is, in fact, the Tehkhana, right. And here, clear prayers are offered. But Akash, one thing is very, very important to note in this. Until 1993, prayers were actually offered here, and post post the state government's diktat, it was stopped. So definitely the court took that also in mind and passed this particular order. But definitely this is the beginning of a long legal battle that could continue.
Before we delve into how prayers were stopped, which were on till 1993, as far as the entire mosque is concerned, I want to ask you, now that you're saying that the ASI report has played a very crucial role, is that a validation that the ASI report has been accepted? Because if you remember, in the 2019 verdict of the Ram Janmabhoomi case, the Supreme Court had not accepted the ASI report of the earlier times as far as that case was concerned.
Well, we have to understand, Akansha, there was a clear distinction between the ASI report that was submitted in the Ram Janmabhoomi case and here. The basic difference was that, in the ASI report, there were no conclusion to show that, there were, something was used to destroy the remains of that Hindu temple. The report could not reach that conclusion. But here, it is very, very clear, and the ASI report goes on to say very, very clearly and categorically that the remains of that Hindu temple were destroyed and they were reused to build. In fact, the particular finding with regards to the pillars also have come in when it is said that the pillars which were having inscriptions of Hindu idols, which had inscriptions of Hindu mantras, were actually scratched, and then flowers and Arabic structures were actually built over it to show that it is a part of a mosque. However, the same was not there in the Ram Janmabhoomi case, and that's exactly why the Supreme Court could not heavily rely on that report.
Right. That's a very interesting point that you've made, Ananya. In fact, I'm going to request you to continue staying with us because remember, all the reactions from both the Hindu and the Muslim side are coming in thick and fast as the story is developing forward. It's been a big verdict day as far as the Gyanvapi Mosque is concerned. CNN News 18 has been tracking those reactions for you. Let's play them out.
ज्ञानवापी प्रकरण में कोर्ट का जो आज आदेश आया है, बहुत दिनों से सनातनी इस घड़ी की प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे कि वहां पूजा की अनुमति मिले। 93 में माननीय मुलायम सिंह जी की सरकार में वहां पर प्रतिबंध लगा था कि पूजा हिंदू पक्ष नहीं कर पा रहा था, लेकिन इतनी लंबी लड़ाई के बाद आज ने कोर्ट ने आदेश दिया कि हिंदू पक्ष को पूजा का अधिकार दिया जाए। तत्काल प्रशासन से सख्त निर्देश दिया है कि 1 सप्ताह के अंदर ये व्यवस्था प्रशासन के लोग करें और पूजा की अनुमति का अधिकार हिंदू पक्ष को दिया है। अयोध्या में भव्य दिव्य नव राम जन्मभूमि मंदिर निर्माण, अब बाबा भोले का भी उस मंदिर का निर्माण जल्द से जल्द हो।
न्यायपालिका को साधुवाद, हार्दिक अभिनंदन और उनके इस निर्णय का हम स्वागत करते हैं। हमारा सनातन समाज भारतीय संविधान में और न्यायपालिका में आस्था रखता है। बहुत ही चिंताजनक ये विषय है कि हमारे इष्ट और आराध्य के पवित्र स्थल पर कभी अराजकता पूर्वक कब्जा किया गया था और हम संविधान का आश्रय लेकर न्यायपालिका के माध्यम से उसे पुनः प्राप्त कर रहे हैं। यह संपूर्ण सनातन समाज के लिए गौरवशाली क्षण है।
All right, let's quickly go back to Ananya, who continues to stay with us. Ananya, whether it is Varanasi District Court or even what the observations were while Allahabad High Court had observed last year in June, the fact of the matter remains that the timing of the worship that was happening inside the mosque, as far as the Hindus were concerned, happened till 1993. And they said that the Places of Worship Act came into effect from the year 1991. And since 2 years, all those worshippers were not stopped. Why were they abruptly stopped in the year 1993? So that point also comes into focus.
Well, definitely that point also comes into focus, that until 1993 there were prayers that were offered by the Hindus, and in fact the Place of Worship Act says that the religious characteristics of a particular place is judged on the date of the independence, that is the year of 1947. However, until 1993 there were prayers that were being offered at that Vyas Tehkhana, and that's exactly why the Place of Worship Act argument might fall down even in the Allahabad High Court or in the Supreme Court as well. However, this is a very, very clear order and a big order that is coming from the Varanasi District Court, wherein the Vyas Tehkhana will now be reopened. Their prayers would be offered and the Kashi Vishwanath Trust has been entrusted to, appoint a pujari there so that the prayers can actually continue. And in fact, the Hindu side has categorically and constantly argued before the Varanasi District Court and even before the hearings in the Supreme Court and the Allahabad High Court as well, that, this is a place that were until 1993, even prayers were offered until then. So how can the Place of Worship Act come in? Now, what had happened in 1993 was that the then government led by Mulayam Singh had come out with a diktat giving accordance to the Place of Worship Act and had barred prayers at that point. And that also was raised by, in fact, the Hindu side that, this was an order of the Mulayam Singh government that was without any legal basis. And that's exactly why this prayer was actually made before, in fact, the Varanasi District Court. And today, a big win coming in for the Hindu side with, that golden book that has now come to them with regards to that ASI survey report, that 863 pages of reports. Seems to be some kind of a golden treasure that has come for the Hindu side, which is giving them orders in their favor very, very clearly and categorically.
Ananya, in fact, it is indeed a big win, but it's not still completely cemented. As remember, the Muslim side is all set to challenge it in a higher court. I'm in fact going to request you to go through the order copy because I'm going to discuss the order copy in detail with you, but in just a bit. Let's also listen into what the Muslim clerics are saying at the moment.
There is a long way to go till the final judgment will be delivered by the honorable courts. As far as today's judgment is concerned, the Muslim side will definitely go to the higher courts against this judgment, and we are confident that justice will be done with the Muslims also.
On the other side, Hindu side's lawyers are saying that it would be a turning point, just like the Babri Masjid and Ram Mandir case.
As far as the Babri Masjid issue is concerned, it was altogether a different issue as compared to the Kashi Vishwanath and Gyanvapi Masjid case. So we think that we all have to follow the path of the judicial process, and we will fight this case only and only in the honorable courts. And as far as our point of view is concerned, we are of the view that this masjid was built 100 years back, so we have full right to offer namaz there.
All right, let's quickly go back to Ananya. Ananya, you heard what the Muslim cleric has to say. He's just saying that we have the full and complete right to offer our namaz over there, and that we will be challenging the Varanasi District Court's order in the higher court. Having said that, let's now also refer back to what the Supreme Court had to say while it was hearing a plea challenging the maintainability of the Gyanvapi suit. And that's when the Supreme Court, in fact, only went on to say that finding the nature of the religious nature of any place of worship is not barred under the Places of Worship Act. Having said that, if the Hindu side is able to prove that the essential nature of this mosque is that of a temple, where does the case head forward now?
Well, definitely, the Muslim side will be knocking the doors off, in fact, the Allahabad High Court. And, what will happen next is that if at all the Allahabad High Court grants a stay, then the battle will continue. But a very important point is that for a stay to be granted, there has to be a strong case that needs to be put forth. There has to be a strong infirmity in that particular order of the Varanasi District Court that has to be cited by the Muslim side. Whether or not they'll be able to do that is something that we'll have to see, because the order of 4 pages on this application is a very well-reasoned order. The findings of the ASI survey has been taken into account. Not only that, the fact that until 1993 there were prayers offered is also mentioned in that particular order. So there might be some nitty-gritties that the Muslim side will have to find out a focal point, a weak point in that order to challenge it and to seek a stay. Seeking a stay in this order is something that we'll have to see as to whether or not the Muslim side is granted that. And if at all that stay is not granted, then the Hindu side will enjoy this benefit, will enjoy this big order, this big verdict that has come in. Though, the legal battles might continue, but until and unless a stay is granted by the higher courts on this particular order, the prayers would definitely continue in this particular cellar S2, which is also called the Vyas Tehkhana.
Ananya, what is the challenge that the places of worship, that entire law faces with regards to Gyanvapi case especially?
Well, the Muslim side says that, the whole suit that's been filed by the Hindu side, not only before the Varanasi District Court, but before the Supreme Court also, they've argued that it is barred by Section 3 of, in fact, the Places of Worship Act. However, the Hindu side has constantly said that, the Places of Worship Act, Section 3, does not bar the identifying of a religious characteristic of a particular place of worship. However, the Muslim side has said the contrary. But in fact, the Chief Justice of India, while he was hearing, he made an oral observation, though it was not a part of any order. But he also, raised the question and said that somewhere or the other, the Places of Worship Act does not bar from judging or identifying the religious characteristic of a particular place, but it definitely bars from changing or rejudging of it. So the Hindu side has a stronger case when it comes to this particular issue of the Place of Worship Act. So how much of it does it stand before the Allahabad High Court? How much of it does it stand before the Supreme Court is something that we have to wait to watch for.
All right, many thanks to you, Ananya, for bringing in all those details. CNN News 18 will be tracking all the latest on this news story. But with that, let's now shift focus